mentioned the decrease in my opening statement in the capital improvement and maintenance road funding. And I look at this and am really quite concerned as to whether or not you've got sufficient funding to keep open the roads that you currently have throughout the system, and whether or not you have sufficient resources to maintain the infrastructure to help facilitate the recreation that we've been talking about, the restoration projects, the timber sales. So again, getting this right. I want to ask specific to you on the question of the roads and whether or not you believe you've got the funding necessary in this budget proposal for the existing roads and keeping them open. We've got a situation in Alaska. This is near Excursion Inlet. This is in northern southeast, but we've got a situation where there's a bridge there which is in pretty tough shape, and it has caused that bridge to be shut down apparently indefinitely. But the problem is that this bridge is the only way to get to a water source that is needed by a nearby cannery. This cannery employs 600 people there. It's basically the sole source of income or revenue generated for this community. So you've got fishermen that are impacted, process workers that are impacted, the local government's tax base, and it's all because you've got a small little bridge here that that you all can't seem to maintain. So we've got a situation in that case where the local government has found half of the money, an additional $350,000 is needed to make the repairs. In this day and age, $350,000 should be pretty easy to round up and find, and yet because we haven't been able to bridge this gap, excuse the pun, you've got a local economy that is absolutely at risk. So I look at this as a specific example and say, how, given this budget and the reduction that you have proposed in the capital improvement and maintenance account, how are you keeping things open? What are you going to do here out in Excursion Inlet?
Well, with this budget request, we are going to focus on maintaining our staffing and our expertise to be able to respond to the infrastructure plan, and so that we can provide that access, maintain the access for not only recreation, but also all the management of the national forest. On this one bridge, it's unique.
So wait, I need to make sure that I understand exactly what that means. It means you want to make sure that you have sufficient staff, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have the sufficient staff, but you don't have the funding for the staff to work, why do we even need to keep the staff? You see my problem here. We've got to have both. You have to have the manpower, obviously, but you have to have the resources to do that operation and that maintenance.
Yes, but if an infrastructure plan comes together and we don't have that expertise, we're not going to be able to move forward and implement it.
So are you banking on the President's soon-to-be released infrastructure package to be the end-all and be-all to solve things like a small little bridge maintenance issue in northern southeast? Are you looking to that to basically be your capital projects fund?
The infrastructure plan could provide, funding for that, and your bridge situation is not the only.
I understand, and that's the reason I raise it, because I know it is but one small example, but having recognized that, it speaks to the much larger problem, and again, if the view is rather than including funding in a budget proposal that would really help facilitate capital improvements and maintenance. Instead of funding that, we're going to bank on a larger national infrastructure project. My concern is that the big bridge, wherever it may be, will get that funding, but that 350,000 that is going to have an extraordinary ripple effect in this small community will be overlooked because it's not big enough potatoes. So I think we all want to see what this infrastructure package will yield, but on the same hand, you don't want our departments to basically be viewing that as this will be the fund and the source for ongoing maintenance and operations of our existing infrastructure. You see my point?
I do.